College is a scam. This is probably the biggest reason to go to college. College is not for everyone. Get your degree for free. Is college worth it? Before we get started, comment down below your most honest thoughts on college. I don't care how controversial it is, let me know down below. Now, most of my viewers are within the 18 to 24 age range, meaning that they are either deciding to go to college, they're taking a gap year before going into college, or they are already in college and aren't exactly sure what they want to do. Should they drop out? Should they keep going? And so on. And that is essentially what this video is for. Keep in mind, this is going to be based off of my point of view and my circumstance and everything I experienced as well, but I'm going to try to keep it as logical as possible and try to keep my emotions out of it. Hence why I actually am recording this a few weeks after I graduated to clear my head a little bit, clear any biases I may have. So just to explain my circumstance, I just recently got my Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology. So that is the degree I got at a university. So I think I took most of, if not all of my classes at the university my freshman year of college. And towards the end of that year is when COVID or the pandemic hit and everything got transitioned to online classes. So for the remainder of my freshman year and then my entire sophomore and junior years, I spent in online classes. And some of these classes would just be, hey, do the work, it's asynchronous, we don't have to meet at any time, whatever. Other classes would be, hey, we just have an online meeting, sign in at this time, like a Zoom meeting. My senior years, when most things opened back up again, you had the option whether you wanted to take in-person classes, online classes, and so on. They kind of just had a nice mix of them as opposed to things that are usually taken in person. Since I live 30 to 45 minutes away from campus, depending on the traffic, I kind of decided it's just way more convenient and easier for me to save a few hours back and forth from driving and take most of my classes online, although I did have quite a few in-person classes my senior year. So with all that background out of the way, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the logical, objective response before I get into the more emotional pros and cons of college. If you can get your degree for free, meaning through scholarships, through your parents paying for it, through the military paying for it, then that is an advantage that most people don't have, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to take advantage of something like that. That being said, if you don't have those advantages, think about what you are good at and what you want to do and pursue it as hard as possible. And that might or might not include college in the road to your success on whatever journey you want to take. That being said, it is okay to work and get your education at the same time, but if there is something that is slightly deviated from the education alone that you want to pursue, then start that as soon as possible so you can build it up over time. So possibly by the time you graduate, you will have it all set to go, and maybe your education just helps benefit you in that sense. Or if it's something that's not exactly directly related to your degree in which you get like an engineering job, for example. If you have found this video useful so far, or if you're simply enjoying it, please be sure to drop a like down below. So let's get into some of the pros of college. To start off, you're getting your education, you're learning something, you're developing new skills. Network is one of the easiest ways to build a network and to get to know people without having to go out so much and try. And you're getting a degree. This is a form of status in many cases, meaning you might have better job opportunities or you just have more flexibility with your career. That being said, it's a great way to see what you might not want to do. You might find a new career path that not only makes more money, but you'll actually enjoy it more to begin with. In all honesty, there was a lot that I did not know was out there that I didn't learn until my senior year of college, meaning quite the variety of jobs and career opportunities that you could take with the degree I was pursuing. And some of these were genuinely cool careers, and I ended up actually growing an interest for these things. Now let's get into some of the cons of college. Now this is where more of the emotional side comes out of things. College is a scam. You pay thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for tuition. You might end up in debt for the next 10 to 20 years of your life. You're forced to take 40 plus credits worth of prerequisite classes in which you kind of learn in high school and they don't really relate to your career at all, or even your major for that matter. There's a lot of things you're paying for. You gotta pay to park on campus, you gotta pay for food, frats, events, and all of that added up together can be very expensive, especially if you want to go out and try all of these things. Keep in mind there's also plenty of free stuff out there as well. I'm not just trying to bash one side, but this is the cons point right now. Not to mention, you not only have to pay to graduate, you have to pay for your cap, gown, diploma, stools, your degree frame, everything. And from my personal experience, many of the classes I took taught the hows and whys of everything to kind of just explain how things work, but most of it didn't even have to do with applying what you actually learned. which I found was really weird to me. It was sort of like, for my example, breaking down the extreme science of everything. I guess a better way to put that is that they aren't necessarily applicable when communicating with someone unless you are a researcher, a professor, or someone that literally just wants to study the science of things. If you take time honing a skill or craft or business that you want to create, I say focus on that over anything. That being said, there is a lot more that goes into the pros and cons of college and many more circumstances that I can explain, but I'll just give you a lot of my personal experience that kind of fall into both of these categories. If I'm being honest, it wasn't until my senior year of college that I genuinely started loving my classes and actually getting smarter, becoming more confident, and finding true knowledge. This is also because most of the upper division kinesiology classes were a lot more fun and applicable, and it wasn't all just science and memory based. Coming out of high school, I thought I knew a good amount. After my first year of college, I thought I knew a lot. And then as I started climbing to these higher level classes, I realized, dang, there is a lot more out there, and every single year proved how much actually goes into everything and the different kinds of people it could help. The deeper you get into learning something, the more you realize there is much more than meets the eye. Not to mention, I think that the sooner you get addicted to learning, especially with things about your interests, I think the higher cap you could set on your life. Networking. This is probably the biggest reason to go to college. You've probably heard the saying, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And I found that to be very true with college as well. Most of my time in college was spent during the COVID years anyway, so I missed out on a ton of networking. And even when I had the opportunity to go to classes, get more classes in person, I still didn't see the full benefit of networking. It's awesome to network with other students to kind of see where they come from, how they think, what they have learned and experienced throughout their careers, and then you could apply that knowledge into your own career as well. Not to mention, I think it is even greater to start networking with your professors, especially those in your upper division classes. Take advantage of their free times. Take advantage of those office hours after class. Ask them questions, pick their brains, and ask them every little detail about something you want to know about. Anything that you can learn from them is huge, especially if they have been in the field for decades. One skill that I think I really developed over the course of these past 4 years in college is learning to ask questions. And not only learning to ask the questions, but learn to listen. A lot of times people ask a question and they're already thinking of what they're gonna say next. They're not hearing the other person first. And especially with something like kinesiology, where so many people are rooted in just one way of training. They're very tunnel visioned in their way, which I'll admit, I was for many years as well. But this your way doesn't work for everybody. So learn not to be so rooted in your way of training. And I don't mean don't train the way you like. I'm saying maybe think about being open-minded to trying other ways of training. Another big takeaway that I had, especially in those middle years of college, was that some colleges can sort of have this weird agenda. I have been in multiple classes where in the STEM field, and so science, everything, you're supposed to give more of the logical response. I've been in multiple classes where students would ask questions and the teacher was more focused on giving a politically correct response instead of breaking down the science first and then trying to sugarcoat it. But they'd focus more on the politically correct side of things instead of, hey, this is actually what happens. And that kind of bothered me a bit because then I started to question their authority. And even if I agreed with them, I'd still kind of think, you should probably tell the whole story and not just one half of the story. I don't know. I'm trying not to get into too much detail here, but I saw this happen multiple times and experienced it myself. And I was, it really just didn't impress me, if I'm being honest, especially in a STEM field. Another thing I realized was that some of these professors are grad students and even assistants, and they're more focused on their career path and their education than actually teaching you what you needed to know. And sometimes some of them would be too tunnel vision in their own world to actually see the bigger picture, which I thought was quite odd, especially since some of these people are 15 years older than your typical college student. On the other hand, I have had professors that have genuinely cared about me and have gone out of their way to help me in many ways that they could have when they didn't need to in the first place. And this was mostly found in my upper division classes. In fact, some of my upper division classes had some of the most brilliant people I have ever met in my life. So when you're smart and when you genuinely care, That is a crazy combo for someone to have. Again, these are just some of the experiences I have had. That doesn't mean every single person's circumstance or situation will be exactly like mine, or even regarding what major you're in. Could be completely different. So here are a list of questions that you might want to ask yourself whether you're thinking about going to college, staying in college, continuing, dropping out, whatever. How much are you paying to go to college? Will college give you something that you otherwise might not have, whether this be knowledge, networking, a degree, or an expanded career choice? Do you have a plan of attack if you're going to drop out of college? Do you have something lined up already? Or you just kind of drop out just to drop out? If you stay in college, start building up whatever you want to build up as soon as possible. The hardest part is literally just starting. There's never a perfect time to starting anything. If you want to start now. Keep in mind that your mentality and interests could change over the years. For example, I first wanted to be a physical therapist, transitioned to wanting to focus more on the strength and conditioning side of things. It doesn't mean don't do what you want to do, but definitely keep an open mind and realize that adaptation may have to occur at one point or another. In the end, this is completely up to you, not your parents, not your best friend. This is up to you. These are just all the things that I have learned and experienced over the years. Plan and then execute. And if you don't know how to plan for it, then just start executing and you'll figure it out along the way. And that goes for no matter what route you take. And keep in mind, college is not for everyone, but it is for some people. I think it's important to take a good hard look at what major you're in and if you really do need a degree for what you want to do. Think about this. Sleep on this. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. Whichever route you choose, you're going to be okay and you are going to take a win in some form or another. I know there is plenty more to talk about. I tried to just keep it more towards the career side of things, but let me know what I missed in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Here is the video YouTube thinks you'll like next, so be sure to check it out right here.